Hello and welcome, everyone. So great to have you here today with us. Welcome to Healings and Readings with Dipal. I've got a special show today, and we're talking to Debra Poneman. And Debra and I had met, not in person, but she was on the Rise Healing Summit last year, if you all remember, for those of you who had joined us. But now she's joining us with some new information. And I thought, hey, why not bring Debra here? Because she had such great information about anti-aging last time. And she's always coming up with these awesome, amazing new things for us so that it could help us on our journey, whether it's our journey of anti-aging, success, just living life. Debra is the person that I go to. So what I want to do is I want to bring Debra on, but before I do, let me share with you exactly what we're going to talk about today. It's the secrets of the world's most successful people. And for decades, Debra has been the best-selling author and founder of Yes to Success, Ageless Seminars, and the Awake Method. She has shared her system, which has been used by hundreds and thousands of people around the world to live not only for success, but also receive abundance and deep happiness and profound self-love and ageless radiance. Debra's clients have used her formulas to become mega successful entrepreneurs, renowned transformational leaders, New York Times best-selling authors, millionaires, billionaires, some even household names. Her many corporate clients have included Mattel Toys, the Xerox Management Group, and Enterprise Bank, amongst others. Now, Debra has appeared in print around the world and on networks like ABC, NBC, Fox, and CNN. And she's a proud mother of two fabulous adult children and feels her greatest accomplishment is not that she's helped so many people live their dreams, but that she's shown them how to create an unshakable foundation of inner silence to support those dreams. So I want to bring Debra on stage. And so let's bring her on. Hello, Debra.
Hello, my dear. I can't believe I was listening to the introduction. It's amazing to me that we've never met each other. I feel like we're best friends.
I know. That's why I'm like, as soon as you come to Boone, you better let me know. I'm going to have you come to our house. We're going to go out. We're going to have a good time. And I can't wait.
Also, you spoke at Northwestern University, which, I grew up in Chicago and I raised my kids in Chicago. And we actually lived right on the Northwestern campus on the very south end, right on the lake. And there you were, but you were there after I'd already left. So
I know. I can't believe you remember that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I even watched. You were. First of all, I loved your outfit when you did that Northwestern presentation, and you were brilliant and you were wonderful. And yeah, girlfriend, I'm a fan.
I love it, Debra. Love it. So, as we go through today, if you guys have any questions you want to ask Debra, please do so in the comments, okay? And so, before we dive into certain things, I really want to talk about you and a little bit about your background and how you started your journey to success.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll give you the Cliff's Notes version. Actually, people don't use Cliff Notes anymore. They just
no.
But anyway, now you know how old I am. Actually, if you really want to know how old I am, my journey started in the early 1970s when I became a teacher of transcendental meditation. And we have many mutual friends we know, like Chris Atwood and Janet Atwood, and we all were TM teachers in the early 70s together. And I was full-time with the TM movement through the decade of the 70s. And when I was starting to see the big 3-0 on the horizon, I thought, well, woman does not live by mantra alone. And I need things like insurance, health insurance. maybe a car to insure. So I decided that I had to leave the meditation community I was living in Fairfield, Iowa. And I wanted to make a lot of money fast so I could get back to doing what I love to do, which was teaching meditation. But you know that expression, you make plans and God laughs? Well, God had a big old laugh over me thinking I was going to make a lot of money. I chose LA because I thought that was where all the wealthy people were.
That's
You know,
it.
I watched the Beverly Hillbillies. Everybody wealthy to me. So I move out to LA. I start selling investments. I thought that's how people got wealthy. And I was a dismal failure. As a matter of fact, I never sold one investment except to my father, who felt sorry for me. But one day, one of my colleagues at my financial company invited me to a money seminar. I thought it was going to be, how I could learn how to sell stocks and bonds. But actually, it was at the Learning Annex. And it was this guy talking about the law of attraction. And this was 1980. And he was saying that however you vibrate, that is what you draw into your life, like a tuning fork. And if you are vibrating, I'll never get out of debt. I'll never be wealthy. My parents were wealthy. I'm never going to I'm too old to find my soulmate. I'm too old to find a fulfilling career. Then you are repelling the money. You are repelling the soulmate. You are repelling the career because we're vibrational beings and we can only attract what we are vibrating. Again, like a tuning fork. And I'm like, this is amazing. I knew that you can create this silent basis of consciousness, which is what I did from all my years of meditating, and I continue to do. But I didn't realize that there was actually a formula for creating outer success. So after that seminar, I started reading all of the books by the great masters of success and prosperity, like Napoleon Hill and Wallace Wattles and Florence Shinn and Catherine Ponder. And I realized that the world needed this knowledge. It shouldn't just, because these books were written in the 1930s and the 1940s. And, and I thought, I am the perfect person, I thought, to bring this out to the public. And truthfully, all I did was, you follow the breadcrumbs. I followed my heart to become a meditation teacher. I followed my heart out to LA when people are saying, you're leaving Fairfield and you're broke and you're going to quit. Yeah, because that's what my heart told me to do. And also, when this knowledge was presented to me, it had to have been presented to me for a reason. And even though I was 30 years old and broke, 29, actually I was 28 when I started my company, and broke and driving a beat up old Chevy Bel Air. And I decided I was going to teach people how to be successful. The truth is that an idea comes to you because I feel the creator has chosen you as the perfect vehicle to bring that idea into the world. So obviously it came to me. Teach these not so modern principles, put them into more modern language and share them with the world. And again, the idea comes to you because the creator needs you. The creator can't come down and start teaching a seminar called Yes to Success. I love the expression, God has no hands but yours. So what I did was two things that I think are really great principles of success. One is, when that idea comes to you, don't go around telling everybody right away what you're going to do. Sacred and secret come from the same root. And your precious idea is sacred. I think one of the reasons why people don't manifest their ideas is because they share them too soon and they bump up against what I call the discouragement committee. People who are going to tell you all of the reasons why your idea will never work, and too many people are teaching about success, and who are you? You have a degree from Maharishi International University in the science of creative intelligence. Who are you? You're broke. You drive a beat up Chevy Bel Air. Just don't tell the discouragement committee. Why would you do that to yourself? Until you take some steps from which there are no turning back, which I did. I rented a room at the Santa Monica Public Library and I put up posters. Debra Olson, that was my name at the time. I've had a few. Debra Olson to teach how to say yes to success. And when the posters went up, the discouragement committee was like, no one's going to believe a crazy idea like your thoughts create your reality. but the posters were up, the room was rented, and within actually less than 3 years, a little over 2 years, my seminars were being taught around the world.
Oh, how beautiful is this story? Because I think we all came from a place where, I always tell my children, we had no money, you guys have everything, and we're always telling these stories, but they don't get it, and we're trying to help them become successful. But I feel like until you've been through some experience of, you really start to have that vibration. I mean, it's a completely different vibration, when you have it versus when you learn from what you didn't have, and I mean, you've taught so many people around the world, and many people define, success in terms of either wealth or achievements, but you talk about conscious success, right? So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. And you reminded me of something, we always say to our children, most people tell their children success principles. I'm going to tell you my moment that was the most proud moment I think I ever had in my life. And that is, I had a private retreat with 8 women. This is a few years ago, and it was in Chicago, and people who were in my success community. And my son came to lunch with us. And one of them said to him, "Oh, when you were growing up, your mother must have told you all the time, and must have quoted from Napoleon Hill and quoted from Wallace Wattles and quoted from Stephen Covey. And that's what, because my son's very successful." And they said, "So that must be why you're so successful." And he stopped for a minute and he said, "I don't even remember my mother once quoting from Napoleon Hill or all those other people. As a matter of fact, I've never even heard those names." He said, "I think one of the reasons I'm successful is because I watched how my mother lived her life."
Yeah.
And my father, because we're divorced now, but he had a wonderful father. We're still really close friends. I love him. He's a sterling individual. But you know what they say, especially with your children, your action speaks so loudly that I can't hear what you're saying.
Exactly.
Our kids, right? They're so in tune right now, and they have a BS meter that is a mile long. So don't think that you're putting anything over on them if you're telling them what to do and you're doing something different. But if you want to talk about conscious success, my son is one of the people, and my daughter too, who taught me about conscious success. And could I tell you a story about my son?
I would love it.
Okay, so when my son was born loving basketball. I mean, he had one of those little little basket. He couldn't even walk, and he was shooting baskets. And then when he was, I think maybe 14 or 15, he made the A team at his high school. But you know that expression, white boys can't jump. He was the only white kid on the team. He could not jump, and he warmed the bench the entire season. But we lived in Chicago. The team traveled around Chicago. And he realized that he had an eye for talent, that he could actually point out who was going to be a superstar in high school, college, who was going to be in the leagues one day. And he started a company where he would take movies. He became essentially an agent where he would take videos of these promising basketball players, and he would send them around, because he was in high school, to college coaches. Wow. And he became known as the go-to agent in Chicago for talent. When he was 16, there was a full-page article about him in Sports Illustrated. It was "Why College Hoops Coaches Seek the Advice of a 16-Year-Old Scout." Look him up. You know who Anthony Davis is? He just got traded from the Lakers to the Mavericks. One of the top 10 players in the country. That was one who Daniel discovered. Look it up on the internet. Kid who discovered Anthony Davis. But here's the point. When Daniel was actually he was 15 at the time.
Yeah.
He had this, I thought that it was too slow taking one movie. And one day he came to us, he said, I want to put on showcases so that I could get all these kids who live in the hood in one place and invite coaches from all over the country and get hundreds of kid scholarships. Now, one of the things, my husband and I, we were never the discouragement committee for our children. If it was their dream, if God whispered that in their ear, who was I to say, oh, that's never going to work?
Yeah.
I would always say, hey, if that's your idea, go for it and let us know what we can do to support you. Mm. So he started putting on these showcases in Chicago, and his first was like 50 kids and 10 coaches, and this next one was like 100 kids and 25 coaches. And every time he would get scholarships for these kids. And to date, he has raised over $70 million in scholarships for kids in the inner city of Chicago by putting on these showcases. But here's the thing about what most successful people do that a lot of other people don't know.
Yeah.
When he was getting millions of dollars of scholarships for these kids, I would say to him, Daniel, can't you like make a little money for yourself? Because he wouldn't take anything for himself. He said, Mom, I'm building relationship capital.
Ah.
And I would say, okay, sounds good. And I would let it go for a while. And then more months would pass. I'd say, I like the relationship capital thing, but maybe a little bit money, at least the money to pay for your camera and your car where you're driving all over. And he says, Mom, really? Well, he would say, chill, but he's so respectful. He'd say, be patient. Watch. Relationship capital is the most important capital. Oh. Okay. So then he decides he wants to make a movie on what it's like growing up in the hood and how basketball is the only way out. And somebody who he had built relationship capital with, who watched him getting all these kids scholarships, not taking a penny for himself, gave him $500,000 to make a movie that ended up being nominated for an Emmy Award.
Wow. Wow.
And then when he actually became an NBA agent and he started, these kids who he got nothing from, like somebody like Anthony Davis, though they would be his advocate. And I remember when Anthony got drafted by the Lakers, and it was his birthday, it was his 21st birthday, and Daniel flies out to go to his birthday party. He was in the Olympics team, and it was all, it was like Simone Biles and all of these Olympic athletes and relationship capital. People remember what you did for them.
Yeah, right? They do. They do.
Yeah, they do. Oh, you said they do, but
they do. They definitely do.
And so you think, well, if I do this for you, you have to do this for me. No. I do this for you, and it ends there. And now he's an MBA agent. He also gets a lot of high school kids college scholarships, and he has over 100 clients who are high school kids looking for college scholarships. Because now with the NIL, name, image, and likeness, you can get. I mean, some of his players, he gets commissions of tens of thousands of dollars. And it's because he asked for it makes me cry. He asked for nothing.
Isn't it amazing? Just trusting the process. I wish more of us could just trust the process.
Trust the process. Right? He just wanted to help those kids. And one time I said to him, I am so proud of you. And he said, Mom, he said, when you grow up with privilege, it's your duty to give back. Oh. I never said those words. He just figured that out himself.
It's crazy. I love how he's what, when I tune, like I can feel his energy, and it's like he's an old soul, he just knows, like such wisdom And nowadays these children they have such beautiful wisdom. They teach us. And I'm like, what? If I tried to teach my parents, I would have been slapped. You know? What?
You're like, what?
So,
No, they are definitely my two kids are absolutely my two greatest teachers. That is for sure.
same here. And I say that all the time. I'm like, you guys are my teachers of life. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for my kids. Honestly, I wouldn't have been on this journey. And, we're talking about success. This is my success, finding my purpose and my passion and doing what I love each and every day. And now I'm getting ready to write a book. So let's see how that goes. But, like, I feel like there's a lot of people who struggle with self doubt or imposter syndrome when it comes to success. Do you have any advice for that?
Yeah, as I said earlier, we're each given gifts.
Yeah.
I've always liked to talk. I've always been a ham, but other people have musical gifts. Other people love science. Other people love mechanics. Other people like to do body work. Other people like to grow roses. We were each given these inclinations, and it's not random.
Yeah.
If the creator gives you a gift of writing, then maybe you're supposed to write a book. And the truth is that we are each here for a purpose. Nobody can do what you were put on earth to do. And there are people waiting whose lives you're supposed to impact. And don't wait until everything is perfectly in place. I was broke, drove a beat up old Chevy Bel Air that my aunt left me when she passed away. And I'm supposed to teach people how to be successful, but that knowledge was put into my lap. So there are people whose contract is with you, no matter how many other people do what you do, career coaches, speak on leadership. If you only knew how many lives you have already touched and transformed, you would be the happiest person in the world. But don't hold yourself back because of, a lot of people, they hold themselves back because of what somebody might think if they fail. But the truth is, there's no such thing as failure. Failure in whose eyes? I would like people to think right now, or maybe even write down, what could you do if you absolutely didn't care about what other people thought? Write it down. What would you do if you didn't? Oh, well, what if I fail and then they're going to think this? Write something down right now, really quickly. Because the truth is, you stop yourself because of what somebody might think. When I love you guys, but they're not thinking about you. You're not that important to them. They're not watching to see if you're going to fail. No, they're too busy thinking about what other people are thinking about them. And that is the truth. We twist ourselves into pretzels because we think other people are thinking about us.
Yeah.
And the truth is that you were put on earth for a purpose, and you could run, but you cannot hide. Exactly. And the other truth is that the creator is not a trickster. The creator is going to say, here's your gift. You should write this book. I'm giving you this idea to open this store or to have a website where you sell gluten-free bakery products, whatever it is. The creator isn't going to give you that idea and then say, but I won't give you the ability to fulfill it. Remember when you were a kid and somebody would put out their hand and then they go like that? Yep. No, the creator doesn't do that to you. So if you have the idea, which is completely different than my idea, you have to start moving towards it. And then just follow the breadcrumbs to the success. And then you won't live with regrets. Just get going. And I love the words of the great healer and spiritual master, John Douglas, who talked about what happens after death. It's such a powerful quote. He says, the first thing you're shown when you die is what your life was supposed to be, and then what it was. So there's no time like right now to make your life what is supposed to be. And the other quote, you've heard this before, is the Buddha says, the problem is we think we have time.
Yeah. I love that quote, and I need to stick that everywhere in my room here so that I can remember it every morning. You know what? Just get to it. And I think everybody who wants to achieve something, do something, desire something, dream something, I think we need to stop dreaming. I mean, that's the message here. And let's let's get moving. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? Let's put one foot forward. And I know, Debra, you've been teaching Yes to Success, and you've probably had a lot of success stories with your students. Is there any particular one that comes out in mind that you want to share with us?
Oh, well, I'll share one that you're going to love because it's about our mutual friend, Janet Atwood. So, the wonderful Janet Atwood, who is the world renowned founder with her former husband, business partner, best friend, Chris Atwood, although I think I'm her best friend. I think we're both her best friends. But when I first started my Yes to Success company, she was a broke meditation teacher sleeping on the couch at the meditation center up in the San Francisco Bay Area. And she was so broke that she couldn't even afford an apartment. And she would jump over a fence at a house down the street to take a shower in their pool house. True story.
And if you see this woman now, it's like, oh my God, you would have never guessed.
And she came to my Yes to Success seminar, and somebody lent her the money. And while she was there, she did one of the exercises in my Yes to Success seminar. Well, the truth is she took it 17 times. And that doesn't mean that she failed the first 16. It means, you've heard the expression, knowledge is structured in consciousness. And as your consciousness grows, you hear the same knowledge, but it means something completely different to you.
Yeah.
So every time she would say, oh, I love the new stuff you added. I hadn't added anything new. It's just that she was different. So she was hearing it differently. But after the third or fourth time, she had the idea during one of the exercises of how to structure the passion test. And that was where the passion test was born. And now it is the number one tool being used worldwide to help people discover their passions. So I think that's a pretty good success story. And I also gave her one other success principle. I gave her first stage, as we say. I thought she was just adorable and I thought she was articulate. And one day I said to her, why don't you do a section of my Yes to Success program? And she did, and people loved her. Same with Marcy Shimoff, who is one of the top nonfiction women authors of all time. She sold over 16 million chicken soup books. She was my secretary back in the 1980s. And one time I got sick, and when I was supposed to fly to New York and teach Yes to Success, and she said, wow, if you're sick, we're going to have to cancel it. I said, no, we're not going to cancel it. She said, well, who's going to do it? I said, you are. And I said, either you are or you ain't getting paid this month. So she flew out to New York. It was her first stage, and she did a fabulous job. And now I think she gets paid $25,000 for a 1 hour talk.
Oh my goodness.
So the thing is that if you really want to be successful, help other people become successful. And if you really, really want to be successful, not only be their cheerleaders and cheer them on, but even if they're in the same field as you, cheer them on, find stages. If they're an author, help them find a publisher, an agent. And that's when the gods really smile on your success.
I think that's beautifully said. One last question for you. If you could go back in time, like when you were like, and give your younger self like one piece of advice, what would that be about success?
Well, I said it already, and I'll say it again. A lot of the things that I wish I had done, but I was afraid that people would think it was stupid, or I would try and I would fail. I remember writing a screenplay. I wrote this fabulous screenplay, and then I thought, it's not that good. And then somebody wrote an almost identical screenplay, but truthfully not even as good. And it was made into a movie. And because I had all these stories about it not being good enough and me not being good enough, you are good enough. And all you have to do is, if somebody says, well, the screenplay isn't that great, then you go to the next person, like Jack Canfield did. 140 publishers said no to the Chicken Soup books, not 40, 140. But he kept on going because he believed in it. So if I gave myself some advice, it would be, don't decide for the people who produce screenplays or the publishers or whoever it is that they're not going to like it. Just give them a chance to decide. And if they don't, you change it up a bit. But don't decide for anybody else because you don't think it's good enough or you're good enough. You are, or you wouldn't have been given the idea.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Debra, it has been wonderful having you here. I know you have a free gift for our audience that is here, and it is the awakemethod.com/ebook. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I now teach a program called the Awake Method, and it's kind of like a combination of Yes to Success, but a little bit more spiritual. So it's about 40 pages. I mean, it's an ebook, but it's pictures of me with my kids, picture of me with Marcy. I don't know if there's a picture of me with Janet, but I talk about Janet in it. And it's basically a way to discover what your dharma is, what you were born on earth to do. I have a great story about what happened with me and my first spiritual teacher, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and what the Course in Miracles says about taking action even before you're ready. And also one more story about when I was kind of in despair in some other knowledge that my son offered to me. So it's a very, very rich book. It's a great book. And it's about the secrets to living true success.
I love it. So, guys, you can get it at theawakemethod.com/ebook. So grab your copy now, and it is completely complimentary from Debra herself. And so I'm going to grab my copy in just a moment. But where can people reach you, Debra?
I think that the best place is just go to my website, which is success.com. And there I'll be.
Oops. Well, why didn't it go through? Hold on one second. I'm just going to put it in the comments, and I'll also put it on YouTube. Yes to success.com.
Yeah, and I do have a Awake Method program coming up, and all the information is there. Awesome. And I'd love for your community, because I know they have to be wonderful, because like attracts like.
Yes, it does. They are amazing, amazing. And I'm so glad you guys were here today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Debra, for your amazing knowledge and wisdom as always. Let's go live our success, guys. And thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.